everybody, and welcome back to Gaming on Caffeine. My name is Isaac, and we are back for episode 36 of FTB Infinity Evolved Skyblock. Last episode, we set up the Alpine portal from Britannia. We made the Elven Gateway core, we made these Natura pylons, we got a bunch more Terra Steel, and we set up the portal so that we can now make Dragonstone, Pixie Dust, and Elementium by throwing through Mana Pearls, Mana Diamonds, and Mana Steel into the portal, and then the portal will throw us those items back. And we also set up a bunch of new witchery stuff, which since the end of last episode I have moved over a little bit into its own area, because before it was just kind of all over the place and looked absolutely horrid. So we've got all this stuff, and we did all of this, and we've been doing all of this over the past few episodes to try and get the Angel Ring. And so between episodes I looked at the recipe for the Angel Ring, and I was taking a bit more of an in-depth look at all of the stuff that we do not yet have to make this Angel Ring, and we are still really far away from getting this thing done. Most of the work is still in the thermostatic harness. This is made by combining up Britannia, Witchery, Blood Magic, and Thaumcraft. All the magic mods come together to make the thermostatic harness, and in order to make the Fuel Tiara, we still need to fight the Gaia. To fight the Gaia, we need to get a Gaia Pylon, and in order to get the Gaia Pylon, if we look at the recipe here, we need 2 Ethereal Slates. To get these, we need a Tier 5 altar, and each one requires 30,000 life points. And I've come to the conclusion, since the end of last episode, that I may have bitten off a little bit more than I can chew trying to go for the Angel Ring so early in the series, because there is still so much stuff that we have to do, and it's basically going to be another like 5-10 episodes of purely Britannia, Blood Magic, Thaumcraft, and Witchery. Now, don't get me wrong, I really like those mods, but I don't want to do just like 10-15 straight episodes of only Thaumcraft, Blood Magic, Witchery, and Britannia. I want to mix it up a little bit. I want to do some more of the tech mods. I want to take a look at some of the other mods in the mod pack that we haven't even touched upon yet, and most of the setups that we currently have are not really up to scratch for making the Angel Ring. For example, I was going to work on some Blood Magic today. I was going to work on getting this altar up to Tier 5, but when I was trying to get all the stuff to make it, like over here, I have made 100 blank slates, and this took forever. It was so grindy trying to get all of those slates, because our altar is currently made up of just standard blood runes. What we need to do is we need to invest in some more blood magic stuff. We need to upgrade our altar with some higher tier runes. We need to go in to each of the mods individually and kind of work a little bit more on the foundation of those mods before trying to go for the really high-end stuff, like trying to get the Fugal Tiara, trying to get those ethereal slates, and trying to get all the stuff from Witchery and Thaumcraft without working on the early game stuff just makes it really grindy. And so I've decided to put the Angel Ring on the back burner for the time being, and we will make it at some point eventually in the series. But when I decided that I was going to not make the Angel Ring, I jumped into a single-player world, and I started looking at all of the Simply jetpacks, because right now we are using a reinforced jetpack with some armor on it as our primary source of flight, and I decided to take a look at the Resonant jetpack, which is okay. It's still some more power, and it's a little bit faster than the one we have right now, but then I played around with the Flux-Infused jetplane, and this thing is pretty ridiculous. It gives you almost creative mode flying, and as you can see from the recipe here, it is significantly easier to make than the Angel Ring. And so I have decided that we are going to try and like divert our efforts into making the Flux-Infused jetplane, which is the highest tier of jetpack from Simply Jetpacks. All of the rest of the jetpacks down here are exactly the same as these ones. Like, for example, Leadstone is exactly the same as Conductive Iron, but the Leadstone one is made using thermal expansion, and the Conductive Iron one is made using Ender IO, and then the same is true for the Flux Electron plate. This one is made with thermal expansion components, and then this one down here, the Dark Solarium jet plate, is made with Ender IO components. We've got a lot more thermal expansion machine setup than we do Ender IO machine setup, and so we're going to go for the Flux-Infused plate. And the good news is that we already have most of these items ready to autocraft in our system, because a lot of this stuff is also required to make the Angel Ring. And a couple of episodes back, when we set up all of the molecular assemblers, all of these guys down here with all of the ME interfaces, I started to teach my system how to make a bunch of the tech side of stuff that was required to make the Angel Ring. So, for example, if we look down here, we can make fluxed armor plating. We can just request 10 fluxed armor plating and click start, and our system will just make that fluxed armor plating for us. I'm not quite sure how fast it's going to make it. I think it's probably going to be a little bit slow because it has to make the crystals here, which I'm fairly certain require the fluid transposer. Yeah, you can see those guys are on over there. So it's going to take a little bit of time to craft up, but we can already auto-craft a bunch of this stuff. We can already auto-craft the Fluxed armor plating, the Flux-Infused chest plate. We already have one, although I'm not sure if we can use this one in our crafting recipe. I think we might be able to, because it's still got full durability, and I'm pretty sure that you can recharge this. It's also got full charge, so I'm pretty sure we should just be able to use that in the crafting of our Flux-Infused jet plate. As for the resonant jetpack, to make this, we just need to get a normal jetpack with some armor. It is an armored version, but to make armor, we just need to get 10 Enderium ingots and 1 Invart armor plating, which is just some Invart and some bronze armor plating, which is just some bronze, and some iron armor plating, which is just a bunch of iron. And I've also taught my system how to make Enderium, so it can auto-craft this as well. I taught it how to do it using the Ender IO recipe, which I'll show you guys, because I don't think I've actually showed it off during the series at all. Right now, it's not doing it, but you can actually make Enderium with 2 Ender Pearls, 2 Enderium base, and 1 Pyrotheum dust. And if I show you that recipe real quick, it's actually a lot easier than some of the other crafting recipes for Enderium. So all you gotta do is, in an alloy smelter, combine together some Enderium base, which is made with tin ingots, silver ingots, and then shiny or platinum ingots, and then combine those up in the alloy smelter with 1 Pyrotheum dust and 2 Ender Pearls. Thanks to our Ender Pearl farm, we have a ton of Ender Pearls, and Blazing Pyrotheum is also super easy to make. We're getting Blaze Powder and Electrotine from sieving, we get coal dust by just pulverizing coal, and then sulfur I'm also fairly certain that we are getting from sifting as well. Yeah, we also get sulfur from sifting dust, so we're making all of the stuff required to make Enderium. All we gotta do is throw all the items together in the alloy smelter. It's a lot easier than trying to make it in the smeltery or in the fluid transposer, because in the fluid transposer you gotta get Enderium blend and you gotta get the buckets, and it's a whole pain. But with the alloy smelter, it's a heck of a lot easier to make. And what we can actually do is, if we take our standard jetpack that we have right now, our tier 3 reinforced jetpack, we can actually craft this back into a normal jetpack. And again, if we look at the recipe from Simply Jetpacks here for the Flux-Infused jet plate, to make the resonant jetpack, we do need the previous tier, so we can just use this in conjunction with those resonant thrusters and get ourselves the resonant jetpack fairly easily. So making this Flux-Infused jetpack shouldn't be too hard whatsoever. And then also, the resonant flux pack down here is just an Invart armor plating with a resonant flux pack, and I'm fairly certain, yeah, well, I've already taught my system how to make that as well. So, let's go ahead and request one of those. Do we already have the fluxed plates? We got 9 out of the 10, so the last one should be on its way any second now. Is there anything else that we can craft? We are going to need quite a lot of Enderium, because making the resonant jetpack here requires resonant thrusters, which require a bunch more Enderium. So, once that is done, we should probably start to request that our system make just a bunch of Enderium. So, let's go ahead and request like 20 of those. That's also going to take quite a while, but once all that's done, I'm thinking that might be enough to make the Flux-Infused jet plate. We'll see. If it's not, we can always make some more. So we've got all this top tier done. These Cryothium cooling units are actually fairly easy to make as well. All we need to do is craft up 2 of these Cryothium cooling units that are empty. These are made with 4 Fluxed Electrum ingots, 4 tin ingots, and 1 hardened glass. I'm not quite sure if we have any hardened glass in our system. We've got some hardened Lumium glass, and I'm also fairly certain that our system knows how to make, yeah, the Fluxed Electrum ingots. Now, unfortunately, we are out of crafting CPUs, and so one thing we probably should do whilst we're waiting for all the other stuff to auto-craft up is look into getting a few more of these crafting storages here so that we can craft more, we can auto-craft more stuff at once. So we'll probably go with, I don't want to go with the 1K crafting storage, because a lot of the stuff that we're trying to craft is are big crafts that take a lot of steps and a lot of items, and so if we go with 1K crafting storage, it's going to not be able to handle all of the items that we're trying to auto-craft at once, and so we're probably going to go with like 16K. For this, we do need a crafting unit, which is fairly easy to make. We should, I think, still have a bunch of processors. Yeah, we got a load of all of the processors lying around, and so making this thing should be fairly easy as long as we have enough Certus Quartz, which again, I'm pretty sure we should have. Now, how many of those are we going to need? So 1 16K is 3 4K, which means it's 9 1K, which means I think we might be good to go. What do we need for the center of that? We need quartz glass, which I'm fairly certain is just some nether quartz into our alloy smelter. So let's go ahead and grab some of that real quick. Also, I've thrown my jetpack into the AE system, so I don't have my ability to fly. But let's grab some of these. Let's take those down to the alloy smelter. we still need to get a new one put up here. We've got a sag mill, we've got a slice and splice, and we have the vat, but we need to get an actual alloy smelter on the top floor so we don't have to interrupt what is probably, oh, the enderium. Yeah, okay, so the redstone got backed up there, the enderium is being crafted. That shouldn't take all too long. I did invest in an octadic capacitor for the alloy smelter because I knew the enderium it takes a really long time to craft. Like you'll see here, even with an octadic capacitor installed, which by the way increases the max redstone flux per tick from I think 20. So this octadic capacitor makes this thing use 5 times as much power, and you can still see how slow this is. So without the octadic capacitor, this thing goes really slow, and it would take us forever to make 20 ingots worth of enderium. So I did make an octadic capacitor for this. It's fairly easy to make. Some vibrant alloys, which are just ender pearls, and energetic alloys, which are just redstone, glowstone, and some gold. So all that stuff's fairly easy. So it looks like I'm gonna have to wait until this is done. I don't think there's a whole lot of stuff that we can craft up whilst we're waiting for that. If we go back over to the Simply jetpacks here, we've got the top 3. We're working on the resonant jetpack. This thing does require 2 of these resonant thrusters, which do require these enervation dynamos. I'm not quite sure what these are about. These require some electrum gears, a redstone transmission coil. We should be able to make those fairly easily. The gears, I'm pretty sure we should also be able to make. So let's go ahead and request at least 4 of those. Once that is done, we need a redstone chipset. We should have some already. If we don't, we can request some more. We do already have some, and our system does know how to make those as well. As for the resonant flux ducts, for these, we're going to need 6 normal redstone flux ducts, alongside 1 enderium gear, and then 2 petrothium dust, which I'm assuming, we can make with obsidian, clay, redstone, and then basalt's powder? I'm not quite sure how you pronounce that, but this can be made by infusing pulverized obsidian or obsidian dust with some destabilized redstone. So, let's grab some normal redstone here. Do we currently have any in our fluid transposer? We don't. Let's go ahead and just put a bunch of redstone into there because we need to make some more redstone flux ducts. So we're going to have a ton of redstone in here already. And I'm fairly certain for the cryrothium that we need to get this stuff here. We need to get the cryrothium dust. And to make this, we need bliss powder, which again is made, you guessed it, in a fluid transposer with an item and some destabilized redstone. So we're going to need a lot of destabilized redstone throughout the course of today's episode. As for the snowballs, we don't have that many, but we can use the snowball seeds like we've done before, kind of just right click with bone meal over and over and over again, and that's going to get us all of the snowballs we need for the blizz powder. As for the basalt's powder, our system does know how to autocraft obsidian dust, although I'm not going to do that just yet. Instead, what I will do is I will take this out and put it into this pulverizer over here, which is backed up to no end. I think, yeah, we need to upgrade this redstone furnace. Right now, I'm fairly certain it doesn't have any augments in because I replaced it with the one down here. This redstone furnace is currently like tier 2, yes, it's got 2 speed upgrades in to make the auto crafting a little faster, but that does mean that the system that's processing all of our ingots is still a little bit slower. And this is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about when I say, when I mentioned earlier in today's episode, that we still have very basic systems that we need to work on. For example, I want to upgrade this whole monstrosity that we have here for automatically sifting stuff and turning it into ingots. I want to redo this entirely. I want to get rid of this and move it somewhere else, make it look a little bit nicer, and also try and make it a little bit faster. And I also want to have dedicated redstone furnaces and pulverizers for making all of the ingots. We've also got like this soul sand sifting system back here, which is just a complete and utter mess that's kind of tacked on to the back of this stuff, which I don't even think is working right now because it doesn't have any power hooked up to it. And speaking of power, our current power generation system is pretty bad considering how much stuff we currently have that's trying to use the power. And you may have noticed over the past few episodes, the AE system has been occasionally dropping because it doesn't have enough power. To try and combat that, since the end of last episode, I have taken a few of the wireless range boosters out of the wireless access point here. So hopefully it shouldn't drop very often, but we do definitely need to revamp our power. We need to revamp our sifting system. We need to move that soul sand sifting. And also, we just kind of got this lava being generated down here. I want to get rid of this and move it as well. There's just a bunch of stuff that we need to fix at the early game before we can start looking towards all of the super high-end stuff like the angel ring, the creative energy cell, and stuff like that. So let's go back over here. All of our crafting is done. So, let's have a look. We need to make some of that blitz powder. Do we have any... Did we start with the obsidian? We did not, because I didn't take out any of this copper. Let's take that out of there. That's going to start to get us some of this pulverized obsidian. I'm not quite sure how much of this powder we're going to need, but I think 12 might be enough. Let's have a look. So, we're going to make... Oh, we need these resonant flux sticks. Oh, my goodness. Guys, we need so much stuff. Okay, what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to go away. I'm going to get all of the components that we need to make this Flux-Infused jet plate. I'm going to try and get all of the Enderium. I'm going to get all of the little bits and pieces that we need to make the actual Flux-Infused jet plate, and I'll be back in a second. And a little while later, now that I've crafted up a bunch of the smaller components to all of this, I think we now have what it takes to make the Flux-Infused jet plate. So we've got all of the top stuff. That is fine. Let's start with the resonant jetpack. For this, we need the normal jetpack. I've almost made the resonant flux capacitor. I made all the way up to the redstone flux capacitor because we've made this before. To make this into a resonant flux capacitor, we just need some Enderium, some more electrotine, and some pyrotheum dust, all of which we have, so making that is fairly easy. Then as for the rest of the jetpack, we've already got the Enderium, we've already got the reinforced jetpack, we just need the 2 resonant thrusters, and to make these, we need more Enderium, we've got the redstone reception coils, I'm fairly certain that we've got the destabilized redstone. The hard part really is the dynamos and the resonant flux ducts. The dynamos, we already have everything that we need to make at least a few of them. We are going to need, I think, 1 more of those, possibly 2 more of those, because we also need to make these resonant thrusters for the flux thrusters, which are here as well. So we need to make at least 4 of these, and that also requires some of these resonant flux ducts, which do require some Enderium gears. Now, I did request quite a lot of Enderium. I requested 20 more after the original 20, and I'm going to request another 20 now, because I'm fairly certain that my alloy smelter isn't currently doing anything. But whilst we're waiting for that, let's come over here. Let's throw in some... Oh, we can't open that chest. Let's throw at least... I want to say 16 of those into there. That's going to get us enough to make... Actually, no, we shouldn't need anywhere near 16, thinking about it now. Let's throw in... We've got 1. Let's go and get a second one. We'll throw in enough for 2 Enderium gears. I was thinking that we might need 1 of these per thruster, but in fact, we only need 2 of the resonant flux ducts per thruster, and you get 6 per crafting recipe. And so getting 2 of those will get us 12, which is enough to make 6 of the thrusters, which I think should be more than enough for the entirety of the crafting recipe. I did go ahead and make a couple more of these redstone energy flux ducts, and also cleared out all of the redstone in the fluid transposer, because we are going to have to use that fluid transposer for a ton more stuff in today's episode. But now we've got that, we should be fairly easily able to make a couple of these. I've got the basalt's powder in my inventory, so we can use that to make this petrotheum dust, like so. We'll go ahead and make at least like 6 of those for the time being. I'm not quite sure if we're going to use the basalts for anything else. I don't really know if it's worth keeping around, but we'll keep some just in case, and then we'll go ahead and make at least 12 of those. Once we've got 12 of those, we should now be able to make a couple of these thrusters, but we are out of Enderium, which is exactly why I have requested that my system make a little bit more. How is it doing with that? The alloy smelter is probably backed up with something else. Yeah, it's doing this fairly frequently. I'm not quite sure why. It might be because we're requesting so much stuff at any given time, but it also might be like a recipe that I've done wrong. Like, I might have put the wrong amount of redstone into one of these. 4 redstone seems like a lot for fluxed electrum ingots, but I think that is right, if I'm not mistaken. But we need to look into that, because it's a mess. Also, we could do with more alloy smelters down there, because that is definitely like the choke point for what we have right now. But we have enough to make the resonant jetpack. We could throw that in there. Is my normal jetpack... What did I do? Oh, it's on my body. That's why. Let's put you in the middle. What else are we missing? We are just missing 2 Enderium ingots now at this point. All we are waiting for is the Enderium. We could throw that in. That gets us the resonant jetpack. And so now, if we go back to the Flux-Infused jet plate, all we need are these 2 cryotheum cooling units. The AE system did successfully make the resonant flux pack, so we don't need to worry about that. We do need to armor it up. Thankfully, we have the Invar armor that we just took off of our normal jetpack, so we can actually use that for the resonant flux plate there. That gets that out of the way. And so now we just need to make the fluxed thrusters and the cryotheum cooling unit. For the cryotheum cooling unit, we need to make 2 of these. I did request some hardened glass, so they are fairly easy to make. And then as for the cryotheum, I do already have some blizz powder, and so making that should also be fairly easy. Let's go ahead and see if we got what it takes. We do. Let's take that. Let's put our blizz powder in there. Let's make at least, I guess, 7 of these. That seems like an oddly specific number, and we are out of snowballs. Thankfully, we have some more lying around, so we can make 7 of those. I'm assuming we get 250 millibuckets per piece. Yeah, so we're going to need 8. We are 1 shy of the number that we need. So, let me throw 2 more redstone into the magma crucible here. I'm pretty sure that it's 200 millibuckets of destabilized redstone with a snowball. So let's grab one of these and let's see if we can get that final piece of bliss powder. Is that right? I think that's right. We really need to upgrade all of our thermal expansion machines with some more augments, preferably going all the way up to the highest tier augment to make these as fast as possible, because that would definitely help with speeding up all of these auto-crafting processes as well as all of the manual stuff that we're doing here. Let's grab one more snowball, stick that there. That's going to get us the 8th piece, and so now we can fill our fluid transposer with all 8 of the cryothium dust. That's going to get us the jelly cryothium. We can then put in the cryothium coolant units, and they should... Have I done that right? Cryothium coolant unit. It needs 4,000 millibuckets. What? Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, in that case, let's change this up. All right. In that case, guys, let me go away real quick. Let me do a bit more bone mealing on this snowball seed that I've set up down here. Let me get some more snowballs. I'll use this fluid transposer down here to make some more bliss powder so we can get some more jelly cryothium, and I'll be back in a second. And a little while later, now that I've made a bunch more cryothium dust, that should take us to 8,000 millibuckets. And so I should just be able to throw both of those in there. Yeah, there's 8,000 millibuckets worth of jelly cryothium. That's going to fill those 2 up. Whilst that's filling up, our system did have some time to get some more enderium. So we've now got 30 ingots worth of enderium. So, let's have a look at the fluxed thrusters here. For these, we're going to have to make 2 of these glowstone elevation units. And of course, we need 2 thrusters. So we need 4 of these glowstone elevation units. These are made in the exact same ways, 4,000 millibuckets worth of energized glowstone. Thankfully, we have a lot more glowstone than we do jelly cryothium. And so, are we out of hardened glass? We are not. We can put that in there. Oh, we need hardened lumium glass specifically for that one. And actually our system doesn't know how to make hardened lumium glass, and so we're going to have to make that by hand. That is fine. Actually, it's really easy. It's not hardened lumium glass. It's the illuminator frame with some nether quartz, normal hardened glass, and some signalum ingots. So we'll go ahead and we'll grab a few more of those. Once we've got those, we can go ahead and grab some more of these. What did I say? We're going to need at least 4 of those. We are missing fluxed electrum ingots. I really thought I'd made enough of those, but I guess we'll go ahead and request 4 more of those. Whilst we're waiting for that, we can grab some of our glowstone and throw that. Ooh, have we got some already? Oh, we do. We've already got 1 glowstone elevation unit. I'm not quite sure why, and our system knows how to make them. Why am I doing this if our system knows how to make them? Let's request 3 of those. Start. All right, I'm assuming that's going to use the fluid transposer down here with, a little bit of glowstone into the fluid transposer. I completely forgot that I taught my system how to make that, but if it can, that is fantastic. These guys should be done. We can take both of those and stick them back into here. And then now that we've got those, all that we have to work on is this. We've already got the fluxed armor. We're still waiting on more fluxed electrum ingots. I guess I should go ahead and request like 10 or 20 more of those, just because we're going to need a few of them to make this as well. And then we do need to finish up with 2 more of these resonant thrusters, which do require at least some more of those. What are we missing from that thruster? We need electrum. Electrum is what we're missing? Okay, let's go ahead and request like 20 more electrum. Our induction furnace should get on that fairly easily. And then we almost have everything. I think we might need some more of these conductance coils. I know for a fact that we have enough of the redstone chipsets, and we should have some flux electrum blend lying around. So yeah, all we were missing is the electrum ingots. So as those come in, we can make more and more of those. I think we're only going to need 2. That looks like it should be right, and now all we need to do is actually make the thrusters, which requires some more destabilized redstone, which we're going to have to wait for because our magma crucible and fluid transposer are currently busy over here. But then again, I guess we can do that manually with our fluid transposer upstairs. So let's see, how many buckets do we have? We've got 2 buckets spare. We actually have 2 buckets in our inventory. So let's go ahead and grab a bunch of redstone. If we throw 20 of it into the magma crucible here, so 1, 2, 3, 4... onto there, that's going to be enough to fill 2 buckets up, so we'll stick those in there. They're going to fill up and get us the destabilized redstone. Once that's done, and this is like the longest craft that we've ever done, once that's done, we can make the 2 more resonant thrusters. We should have enough enderium lying around. We do, and we should also have some of those flux ducts left over as well. We do. We've got 6 of those. These things can transfer 32,000 redstone flux per tick, and currently we're using still hardened flux ducts over here, which can only carry 400 redstone flux per tick. I'm fairly certain that we'll be maxing these out, actually, because this thing's producing 160. I'm fairly certain that one is, and I think we've got 2 more. And so we're producing, like, 640 redstone flux per tick here and still connecting it up to a hardened flux duct, which is nowhere near enough. But let's grab this. Let's bring this one back whilst we wait for the other to craft up. That's going to get us the 1 thruster. Everything else is already here, which is good. So now we are just going to grab this one, bring it back as well, stick that in at the bottom. That gets us a 2nd thruster, and I think we might now be able to make one of these, and we are just waiting on, I guess, 1 more of these glowstone elevation units, which is already done, so we can take that. That gets us a 2nd flux thruster, and we might be good to go. All we gotta do is put our jetpack in. Oh, we have to armor our jetpack first, don't we? It's not quite good to go, although we are very, very close. All we need to do now is make some of this Iridium armor plating, which is going to require some of the standard iron plating first. So let's take one of those, and then we have to upgrade it to bronze. Do we have any bronze ingots? We do not. We do not have enough anyway. And also, apparently we don't have a means to craft it. Can we do this? If I get just normal bronze, normal copper ingots and combine those up with some normal tin ingots, apparently that is not good enough to make bronze in this mod pack. So let's take that, let's bring it over to our induction furnace. We've got some pulsating iron in there. I guess that's fine. This thing has got some upgrades in it, so it can make that bronze very, very fast. We will take that. I think all we have to do is combine both of these up in here like that. Yeah, that's going to get us the bronze armor plating. Then I'm fairly certain we have to upgrade that to the Invar armor plating. Let me have a look here. So, yeah, we need Invar, which is bronze, and some Invar. Do we have any Invar? We do. Let's go ahead and grab at least 10 Invar. We will throw that into here as well. Boom and boom. Whilst we're waiting on that, we can grab the 10 Enderium. I'm assuming that the last crafting recipe is just Enderium and the Invar plate. So we'll put you in there and then put the Enderium in as well. That's going to get us the Iridium armor plating, and now, if we combine that up with our resonant jetpack, which I'm hoping we can do, I guess like that, yeah, that's going to get us the resonant jetpack, and now, finally, we have everything that it takes to make the Flux-Infused jet plate, and this thing, like I mentioned at the beginning of today's episode, is pretty awesome. Now, it does require 50 million redstone flux to fill it. Thankfully, we don't have to fill it, like it will work whilst it's not full, but it does use a lot of power. You can see that fuel usage. It uses 400 redstone flux per tick, so this thing will just eat through 400 redstone flux per tick whilst we're using it, and so we do need to definitely get a better power system here. We need to upgrade our energetic infuser so they can transfer power a lot faster than an 8,000 redstone flux per tick, so that we can fill this thing up pretty quickly. But let me show you how this thing works. So we've now got like a full suit of fluxed armor, including our flux jetpack. By default, it's kind of a standard jetpack, you know. If I turn hover mode off, it just kind of works as like a standard jetpack. We've got jetpack fuel, we've got engine. It does also charge other items in your inventory, so if I hover over it and press shift, it says allows flight and can charge items when active, must be worn on chest plate. So I think things like, yeah, you can see here the wireless terminal is now at 100% charge, and so just by having this in our inventory, it will charge up all of the other items in my inventory, so I shouldn't really ever have to charge up like my helmet or my boots or my wireless terminal ever again. I just have to charge up the Flux-Infused jet plate, and that will charge up everything else for me. But the thing that makes this really cool is that if you sprint whilst you're in the air with it, like if you try and sprint, you can go incredibly fast with this thing. And if you combine that with hover mode, which by the way, on this jetpack, hover mode is like perfect hover. If I'm on hover mode, I do not fall whatsoever. Like I'm not touching my keyboard and I'm just hovering actually in the air. It doesn't drop like all of the rest of the jetpacks do. And if you sprint whilst you're in hover mode, you can fly around incredibly quickly. And I'm actually fairly certain that I'm actually like 100% certain that this is definitely faster than the Angel Ring can fly. It's not quite as good with the hovering, like you can't, it's a lot harder to go up and down with this than it is in creative mode, but we can fly extremely fast now. It's a lot easier to make than the Angel Ring. I cannot believe it took me so long to figure out that this thing is actually a thing that we can make, and that is the jetpack that we're going to be using for the foreseeable future whilst we wait until we're at a point where we can possibly make the Angel Ring. Even at that point, I'll probably make the Angel Ring just to prove that we can do it, but I don't know if we'll end up using it because this thing is so good at what it does. It allows you to fly so quickly. It is kind of fantastic. Now, before I enter this episode, there is one more thing that I would like to set up, and one thing that I was planning to do during today's episode before I decided to ditch the angel ring entirely, and that is I want to start producing some Draconium. So down here on this new level that I've created, this is where we're going to start trying to sift for Draconium. So Draconic Evolution is a mod in this mod pack, and in order to get into Draconic Evolution, we need to get, first of all, a whack ton of stuff. This thing, the stuff in Draconic Evolution is ridiculously expensive, but one of the key things that we are going to need is Draconium ingots, and to make these, there are two ways you can do it. You'll see down here, there is kind of some X asterisk stuff. We can either sift through crushed netherrack, which gives us a 2% chance of getting broken Draconium ore, which we can then craft up into broken Draconium gravel, which we can then go ahead and smelt that up into Draconium ingots, or we can use the broken Draconium ore over here, which you can get by sieving crushed endstone. This one has a 7% chance. It's a little bit more expensive because it's endstone instead of netherrack, but then again, in the skyblock, netherrack is just lava and then redstone in a stone barrel from ex nihilo, whereas endstone is lava and glowstone, so it's just the difference between glowstone and redstone. We probably have more redstone than we do glowstone, but we also use redstone a lot more frequently than we do glowstone, so I think I'm going to go with the crushed endstone recipe here. It also has a higher drop chance, which is pretty nice. You can then craft that up into Draconium or gravel, which you can then hammer down into crushed Draconium ore, which you can then again craft back up into the sand, which you can hammer down again, every time increasing your chance of getting some more Draconium ore a little bit, and then you can go ahead and you can either smelt that up in an induction furnace into Draconium ore, which I'm not quite sure why you would do this. This seems very expensive, because you can also just go ahead and hammer each piece down into 2 Draconium dust, each of which can then be smelted up into a piece of Draconium. So if you do this, you're giving up 8 Draconium, potentially 8 Draconium ingots to get 1 Draconium ore, and you do not get 8 Draconium dust out of 1 Draconium ore, even if you have like a Fortune 3 pickaxe. I tested it in a single player world, so we're probably just going to go ahead, hammer it down, and then smelt up the Draconium dust. But as you can see, this is a pretty convoluted way of getting Draconium, but it's the only way that I know of that we can actually get it. If you know of a better way, feel free to leave it in the comment section down below. But as far as I know, this is the only way that we can get Draconium outside of possibly using these Draconium bees. I believe you can also get it by fighting the Ender Dragon. I'm pretty sure when you defeat the End Dragon, you do get a bunch of Draconium that drops onto you, but in order to resurrect the dragon, in order to do that multiple times, you need Draconic Evolution. So we need Draconium ingots in order to resurrect the dragon and to fight it multiple times to get more Draconium. And so I'm going to set up an automatic endstone system, which is what we've got down here. We've got space for what is going to be a bunch of crucibles producing lava, sending them over to all of the stone barrels. You can see right here, oh my gosh, I forget how fast we fly. You can see right here that we've got ourselves an iron chest. I do need to figure out a way to turn off the jetpack sounds, I think, because this, like the sound of that jetpack in the background whilst I'm hovering is going to be a little bit annoying. But we've got an iron chest here. We've got an export bus that's hooked up to our system. This is exporting glowstone into this chest. We're then going to have item ducts pumping that glowstone down into these stone barrels once they're filled with lava. That will then turn it into endstone. Well, the endstone is then going to get pulled out of those stone barrels and put into the pulverizer, which I have upgraded to a reinforced pulverizer, so we can put some speed upgrades in here to make it as fast as possible. That's going to turn the endstone into crushed endstone, which is then going to get sieved in the automatic sieve here. I made this one from X asterisk just because we can put speed upgrades in it and make it as fast as possible. The same reason why I use this one for the soul sand. And so that's the basic plan that we're going to have here. Although, instead of putting lava here, I'm going to use blazing pyrotheum as the kind of the fuel underneath the crucible, because if we go and look real quick at, and actually I can turn hover mode off here, and I should also probably put this into the energetic infuser, because it is running out of charge real quick. We've taken it from 5% to 1% incredibly quickly. But over here, if we look at these crucibles, and you look at the top there in Whaler, it says melting speed is 2 times. That's how fast it turns cobblestone into lava. And if you have like a torch there, it's like 1 times, and if you have flowing lava there, it's a little bit lower. And that number changes all the time. But if you put blazing pyrotheum, the liquid, underneath of that crucible, it goes up to 7 times. So it produces lava a heck of a lot quicker than it would normally, just using, well, lava underneath it. So instead, we are going to use our blazing pyrotheum. We should already have some pyrotheum powder in here. We don't, but we can go ahead and request, I guess, like 40 of that fairly easily. And our system will just craft all that up. The hard part is just pulverizing coal into coal dust. Once we've got that, all we have to do is put that into the magma crucible. That's going to turn the pyrotheum dust into blazing pyrotheum, which we can then have go into the fluid transposer, pull it out into a bucket, and then put it on the floor, and then stick the crucibles above it. And so what I'm going to do now, guys, I'm going to go away real quick. I'm going to let my jetpack charge up. I'm going to get a bunch of pyrotheum dust. I'm going to take that pyrotheum dust, we've already got some of it, and put it into the magma crucible. That's going to create the blazing pyrotheum. I'm going to make a bunch more crucibles, like the ones we have producing lava already. I'm also going to make a bunch of speed and world interaction upgrades for the transfer node here, so that it can generate and transfer a ton of cobblestone really quickly to all of the crucibles. And I'm also going to make a bunch of pipes, of course, to transfer that from here around to there. I'll also make some item ducts, hook all this stuff up, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, so a little while later, my jetpack is now a little bit higher on charge than it was before, but I've made myself 8 blazing pyrotheum buckets and 8 crucibles. Not quite enough to fill this up by any stretch of the imagination, but I'll finish all this up between episodes. For now, we're going to start putting this stuff down. This stuff is pretty volatile and will cause, fire all over the place. Thankfully, the armor that we have now, thanks to our new jet plate, is actually fairly good. Fairly being probably a bit of an understatement, but let's go ahead and put all that down. That does cause a bit of a fire. I should put hover mode on again. Also, we are going to require like some cobblestone or something to put the. Oh my goodness, we need like, where's the water at? It's right there. It's fine. We're good. Let's grab some cobblestone. For now, we'll put this down through like the middle. I don't know if that fire is going to keep coming back. Hopefully, it will not. But let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it will come back. All right, that's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4. Eventually, I might put stuff down around here just to kind of give it nowhere to put the fire. But if we look at this now, you can see melting speed is 7 times. And so, what we're going to do, we're going to get rid of all of this cobblestone. We're going to see if we have any pipes in the system, because I didn't make any, but we do. I did go ahead and teach my system how to make world interaction upgrades, and I requested 64 of those. So, can I put that there? There I can. Yeah. All right, let's do this. Let's hook all the rest of this up. Preferably without catching fire would be nice. So there we go. And that's going to start doing nothing just yet because we haven't put in any of the world interaction upgrades. I made 64 of those. We already had 40 speed upgrades, so I guess I'll take those. And one more thing that I do want to make real quick is the stack upgrade. And essentially, I don't think I've made this on the series yet, but essentially what the stack upgrade does is, as the name suggests, it moves a stack of items at a time. And so instead of individually trying to move each piece of a cobblestone, what it will do is it will move a stack at a time. And now that I look at this, it's going to be a lot easier to make the stack upgrade if we grab 1 or 2 of the speed upgrades out of here. So let's go ahead and grab 10 of those. Let's head on back up to our crafting terminal, and let's see about getting, we only need the 1 stack upgrade. I don't think adding more than 1 stack upgrade will do absolutely anything whatsoever, but now we will move as much cobblestone as it possibly can to each and every one of the crucibles. So we'll put a stack upgrade in there. It's going to slow it down a little bit, but it's going to fill up each crucible as it goes along. And so now what we need to do is figure out a way to pull all that lava out. We could use the normal hardened fluid ducts that we've been using upstairs, but I'm fairly certain that once we get all of these down, by the way, we've got space for 32 crucibles here. Once we got all 32 crucibles down, I don't think that the hardened fluid ducts from thermal expansion are going to be able to carry that much lava through to the barrels, and so I'm instead going to go with the fluid conduits from Ender.io, the highest tier of fluid conduits, the Ender fluid conduits, which can extract 200 millibuckets per tick, which is 4,000 millibuckets per second, and they can also input and output at 800 millibuckets per tick as well, so that's going to allow it to input into all of the barrels very quickly as well. To make these, we need some normal hardened fluid ducts, some conduit binder, and some reinforced servos. I did make a few of these for the item ducts that we've got downstairs, so making this shouldn't be too hard, and apparently we are out of hardened fluid ducts. Do we have what it takes to make it? We do not, because we don't have any invar dust. Let me quickly grab this, and I will throw it in this pulverizer downstairs, because I know for a fact that the one upstairs will just be backlogged with a ton of stuff. So we'll put 10 of that in there. That's going to get us 10 invar dust. It should get us it fairly quickly, so we should be able to come back and pretty much instantaneously grab some of that. Once we got those, we can make a couple more of these, and for the time being, 9 should be enough. Now, one of the cool things about the fluid ducts, or the fluid conduits from Ender.io, is that you don't need servos to extract. So, actually, this wants to go all the way along around to here, so we are actually going to need a few more of these. We're going to need like 1 more set to actually make this work. So let's quickly, once again, fly back up here. The invar should be ready to go, so let's look at making 1 or 2 more sets. I guess just 1 more set of those, 1 more set of reinforced servos. That's going to get us 3. And then if we make 1 more set of reinforced servos, that's going to get us 6, which should, for the time being, be more than enough to hook all of these up. I really need to do something about these elevator blocks, because I always jump when I land on a place, because I want to start flying with the jetpack. But for now, we will hook this up like that. We can come over to all of these. If you just right click on the edges here, you can set auto extract to active without redstone signal, and then once we do that, also I think we might have to set it to extract on the top there, but we might not do. It's also set to in and out. I think in and out will also work just fine. Just to be on the safe side, I'm going to set it to extract. That's going to start to pull out all of the lava from these crucibles and send it over to here. You can see once the lava is in the stone barrels, the item ducts realize that they have somewhere to go and they instantly start to pull out. Let me see about getting the rest of these done. Extract and extract and extract. That was already set to extract. Extract. Without redstone signal, there we go. They should all be done now. And then all of these need to come out. Right now, the back of this pulverizer is not set to an input. We'll set that to an input, which is blue. Once that's an input, that should start sending, all of the endstone round into the pulverizer. Right now, it has no power. What I'll do between episodes is I will run some energy conduits from up there down to my pulverizer and to my automatic sieve so we can get this up and running. And I'll probably also set up some kind of like caches or barrels or something so that we can start to store all of the stuff that we get from the automatic sieve. But I don't intend to get into Draconic Evolution really anytime soon. The reason why I'm setting this up is because it's going to take such a long time and so much endstone to get even a reasonable amount of Draconium, because even in order just to make the first sword, in order to make a sword of the Wyvern, the Draconium sword, it is going to take like 2 stacks of Draconium ingots, and with only a 7% chance, it is going to take a heck of a lot of time to get it from sifting endstones. And so I just wanted to set this up early so we could get it going and start to get some Draconium, so that when we do want to start with some Draconic Evolution, we have it up and running. Like I said, over the next few episodes, we're going to update some of our systems, we're going to redo some stuff, and we're going to start with some new mods that we haven't played with yet. I do want to look into getting a better source of power. That's one of the main things that I kind of want to beeline, because this thing is a little unreliable. We do have to keep coming around and putting diamonds into the carts over here to make sure that the woodcutters keep going, which is a little bit annoying. And so every so often I come online and this thing's just not working. It's out of juice, and then I have to wait like a few hours for it to fill back up to 1,000 degrees Celsius, because it takes forever to fill up. And even once it is full, it's not producing that much power, at least not enough to keep all of our systems running. I did also have to set up this little cable here with this HV cable. I'm running that from the energy cell here, so even some of the energy being produced here is now being used to keep the AE system online, and it's still kind of flickering on and off every now and again. But for now, guys, thanks for watching. If you did enjoy the video, as always, be sure to hit like. It really does help out a lot. Leave a comment down below, and I will see you guys next time.